Joan Lee, and this is the keyword outline I'm using today. At what age did you understand your own gender? And did you feel like you're able to make your own decision about the matter without the undue influence of others? Unfortunately, children in America today may not be able to make this decision safely on their own with the growing influence of LGBTQ in their daily lives. In order to prevent the further normalization of transgenderism among children, I believe that the government should take measures to discourage programs such as Drag Story Hour in environments like public libraries. Today, I will explain to you the issues of promoting transgenderism to children, one solution our government could take, and what a potential future may look like should the solution be implemented. First, in order to help you understand why I'm against transgenderism in educational settings, I'll explain to you what it is from a medical point of view. It can be observed that there may be a potential correlation between transgenderism and gender dysphoria. So I think it should be explored a bit more and researched a bit more before we give this ideology to young children. In the third edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, a handbook written by the American Psychiatric Association that acts as an authoritative guide to the diagnosis of mental disorder by health professionals all over the world, transsexualism made its appearance in 1980. However, in 1994, it was removed from the manual by the APA as they redefined transsexualism as a state of mind that people have when their chosen gender identity differs from the sex they were assigned to at birth. Um, Gender dysphoria is still in the manual today as the APA defines it as a psychological distress that results from an incongruence between one's sex assigned at birth and one's gender identity. In Reuters, it gives a report about a research conducted by Komodo Health Inc., a company that provides insights about patients from the data analysis from practitioners and the health system. In this graph shared by Komodo Health, they reported that they saw in 2021 just over 42,000 patients aged 6 to 17 years old diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which is 2.8 times the amount they saw in 2017. Coincidentally, in The Guardian, psychiatrists from the National Health Service, a government funded global health service, reported that the amount of youth as young as 12 to 13 years old who came out as transgender doubled in the past 5 years. The psychiatrists note that this trend may be due to the growing influence of LGBTQ in their daily lives. We can see that there is this growing issue of gender dysphoria and perhaps transgenderism among youth in America today, yet no one is talking about the possible causes of it being from the LGBTQ community. Instead, they seek to promote it, seeking to promote inclusivity in addition to it, not understanding that it may have detrimental effects to the mental health of children. Now that I've talked about the history of transgenderism and gender dysphoria in the APA, I will talk about one possible solution we can take in America. I believe that the US government should ban Drag Story Hour from public libraries. In the Texas Tribune, it reports that the Texas government has seen this issue and passed Senate Bill 1601, which defunds public libraries who allow drag queens to come and read to children. Public libraries rely on government funding in order to survive, so this has been a big hit to any library that has promoted Drag Story Hour. You may be asking, why am I against Drag Story Hour? Well, as you can see, Drag Story Hour is targeted towards children aged 3 to 11 years old and allows drag queens to come and read them books about being yourself and of the LGBTQ community. I see it as a problem from men dressed as caricatures of women with their extravagant makeup and their costumes, believing that these kind of programs promote inclusivity. However, the haunting reality may be that it actually normalizes an unnatural representation of women and may teach children to be more confused about their own gender as they grow up. Another reason why I'm targeting Drag Story Hour is because from birth to age 8 is when the most critical brain development happens in a child. In a journal from the National Academic Press titled Transforming the Workforce for Children Birth Through Age 8, it states that infants and young children are more sensitive to the regularities of their environment and to teaching cues, meaning that they understand when someone is trying to teach them something. This would also indicate that children are more susceptible to accepting societal teachings because they are developing their brain and taking in all the information they see and hear. Going back to the policy, if one state such as Texas can understand that this may be risky for their children, then shouldn't the national politicians also understand this as well and take measures against it? I understand that there is a growing support of the LGBTQ community and Drag Story Hour that may see this policy as hateful and non inclusive. However, if children are still growing and developing by the time they're 8 years old and do not understand the key differences in the biology and mentality of a male and a female, then isn't it more hateful to our children that we would teach them about these different gender ideologies before they can even understand themselves? That's why I wish to cultivate a child's personality not based on gender, but based on morals and good manners. And this is why I urge you to support this policy against Drag Story Hour in America. Now that I have shared with you why I wish to discourage Drag Story Hour, I'm going to talk to you about what are some of the benefits we can see if this policy should pass. I believe that decreasing the amount of exposure children have to transgenderism will help them become more rational adults as they grow up. In an article titled Transgender People and Young People, it investigated the development of gender identity among young children 3 and over, and it showed that by age 7, children already acknowledge that there is a general difference between a male and a female, and they start to question their own gender identity. They state that it's normal for a child to question their own identity, and in order to understand how to perceive it, they'll look to societal influences in their educational environments to understand it. So, if we take away those influences from this young age, then perhaps we can also take away the opportunity for children to believe that they have the authority and the maturity to already be making decisions about their own body and their own identity when they are not fully developed yet. Going back and looking at the APA definition of transgenderism, which stated that it's a state of mind people have when their chosen gender identity does not align to the sex they were assigned to at birth, we can see that they associate it to a state of mind, a thought, a feeling, instead of facts. Drag Story Hour is one of those many channels that the promotes chasing after emotions and living in it. So, if we can remove those channels, perhaps we can teach children to look at themselves from an objective, factual point of view rather than a subjective, emotional point of view that may very well change in the future. In conclusion, I'm saying we need to pave a way for children to become rational adults in future who know themselves from a biological, factual position rather than their own emotional state. Today, I have talked about the background of transgenderism according to the APA and the rise in gender dysphoria, one policy that the US government can promote, and what are some of the benefits we can experience should this policy pass. In order to prevent the normalization of transgenderism among children, I believe that the government should take means to prevent programs such as Drag Story Hour from spreading into the children's environments. So I would like to leave you with a few questions today. Will you allow our society to continually push a gender war on our children, or will you protect them and allow children to remain merely children? Thank you very much.